Gypsum Modern Investments. Its ADS specification number is 2. These materials are supplied as powders which are mixed with water. It is of three types. Type 1, which is employed for casting inlays or onlays, and its major mode of compensation is by thermal expansion. Type 2, employed for casting inlays, onlays and crowns, which is compensated by hygroscopic expansion. And type 3, used for construction of partial dentures. Composition: alpha hemihydrate of gypsum, quartz or cristobalite, minor components and modifiers. Alpha hemihydrate of gypsum, which is the binder to hold the other ingredients together. The rigidity strength of the investment is dependent on the amount of binder present. Quartz or cristobalite is the refractory material, which are allotropic forms of silica. Minor components includes powdered graphite or powdered copper, and modifiers controls the setting time and setting expansion. Gypsum: alpha hemihydrate form of gypsum is generally the binder for investment used in casting gold containing alloys with melting ranges below 1000 degrees Celsius. When this material is heated to temperatures for complete dehydration, complete casting, it shrinks considerably and occasionally fractures. For gypsum products containing carbon, the maximum temperature should be 650 degrees Celsius. The setting expansion of the calcium sulfate dihydrate when mixed with water is used to partially compensate for the shrinkage of the alloy which occurs on casting. Silica, refractory material, regulates the thermal expansion and helps compensate for the casting shrinkage and gypsum. Silica exists in at least 4 allotropic forms: quartz, tridymite, cristobalite, and fused quartz. The crystalline forms are alpha and beta. This is the setting reaction where 100 grams of calcium sulfate hemihydrate needs 18.6 grams of reaction water. Strength of the gypsum is inversely proportional to the water powder ratio. That means more the water, less is the strength. Setting expansion. It is of three types: normal setting expansion, hygroscopic setting expansion, and thermal expansion. Investment, when mixed with water, it causes volumetric expansion, occurs due to direct conversion of calcium sulfate hemihydrate to dihydrate form. Normal setting expansion, when silica reacts with calcinated gypsum, greater expansion than when gypsum used alone. Silica particles interfere with the intermeshing and interlocking of the crystals. Thrust of the crystals is outward during growth and they increase expansion. Expansion of 0.6% in air, modern investments 0.4%. Regulated by retarders and accelerators, expansion is measured as linear dimensional. Coming to hygroscopic setting expansion, it has greater magnitude than normal setting. Its ADS specification number 2 for such type 2 investment requires a minimum setting expansion in water of 1.2%. The maximum expansion permitted is 2.2%. Factors influencing setting expansion are effect of composition. The finer the particle size of the silica, the greater the hygroscopic expansion. Alpha hemihydrate is a greater hygroscopic expansion than the beta hemihydrate. Effect of water powder ratio. The higher the water powder ratio of the original investment water mixture, the less the hygroscopic setting expansion. Effect of spatulation. With most investments, as the mixing time is reduced, the hygroscopic expansion is decreased. Effect of added water. Hygroscopic expansion is in direct proportion to the amount of water added during the setting period until a maximum expansion. Below the maximum expansion value, it is dependent on the amount of water added and is independent of other factors. The immersion water replaces the water of hydration, thus preventing the confinement of growing crystals by the surface tension of the excess water. The water is drawn between the particles by capillary action, thus causes the particles to separate, creating an expansion. The greater the amount of the silica or the inert filler, the more easily the added water can diffuse through the setting material and the greater the expansion. Thermal expansion. Thermal expansion of gypsum bonded investments is directly related to amount of silica present and type of silica employed. When gypsum is heated, initial contraction takes place between 200 to 400 degrees Celsius. The counterbalance that contraction causes content is increased to 75%. Factors influencing are type of refractory material, that is cristobalite 1.6% at 250 degrees Celsius and quartz 1.4% at 600 degrees Celsius. Temperature, percentage and uniformity of silica, water powder ratio, thickness of mold wall and confinement. The desired magnitude of thermal expansion depends upon its use, that is type 1 to 1.6% and type 2 0 to 0.6%. Effect of water powder ratio. Magnitude of thermal expansion is relatable to the amount of solids present. Thus, if more water than mixing the investment, the less is the thermal expansion. Effect of chemical modifiers. Small amounts of sodium, potassium or lithium chlorides eliminates contraction caused by gypsum and increases expansion without the presence of an excessive amount of silica. Boric acid also hardens the set investment. However, it apparently disintegrates during heating and rough surface cast may result. Chlorides actually reduce gypsum shrinkage below 700 degrees Celsius. Strength. The strength of the investment must be adequate to prevent fracture or chipping of the mold during heating and casting the gold alloys. According to ADS specification number 2, the strength for the inlay investment should not be less than 2.4 megapascals when tested 2 hours after setting. Increased water powder ratio decreases the strength. Heating the investment may increase or decrease strength by 65% when heated at 700 degrees Celsius, depending on composition. On cooling, strength decreases due to formation of fine cracks. Sodium chloride containing investments have less strength when heated. Fineness. Effect setting time, surface roughness, other properties. Finer the particle size of silica, more is the hygroscopic expansion. Finer particle size is preferable to a coarse one because the finer the investment, the smaller the surface irregularities on the casting. Porosity. During casting process, molten metal is forced into the mold. As molten metal enters into the mold, air must be forced out. Otherwise, air will prevent the metal to completely fill the mold space as back pressure builds up. Common methods of venting is through pores on the investment. More the gypsum crystals present in the set investment, less is the porosity. Particle size of the investment. More uniform the particle size, greater is the porosity. Storage. Investment should be stored in airtight and moisture-proof containers. During use, the container should be opened for as short as possible. Thank you.